Well, let's move on to the NHC now, and there are a couple of programs that I think really could challenge for a conference title, and you want to start off with Homestead and East Noble as probably the two premier programs heading into 2010.
Well, I'm a little bit skittish on saying Homestead and then East Noble. My colleague Reggie Hayes of the News-Sentinel, he thinks East Noble's going to get it done this year, but Homestead has beaten them 5 straight times. So, maybe Reggie has some explaining to do to the Homestead faithful, but East Noble offensively has A.J. Dove at quarterback and Tyler Truax at running back. They have a lot of skill players back, and their coach feels that this is a very similar group to the 2000 state championship team. So East Noble is going to put a lot of points on the board. Now Homestead, they're going to do the same, but they lost quite a bit. They lost Colin Harriff, they lost a transfer in Steven Espinoza to Bishop Dwenger, but when you have the best quarterback in northeastern Indiana and Zach Terrell, that helps your cause quite a bit. Zach Terrell, here's an amazing stat for you, 24 touchdowns and 5 interceptions out of his sophomore year. I mean, that's incredible for a young kid, and he calls his own plays. I mean, he's incredible.
Yeah, he's a pretty darn good football player. When you get to East Noble, talking about this rivalry between Homestead and East Noble, last year being up at the game where they had the blackout, third week of the season, that was East Noble's game to win until Jordan Gator got injured, had a broken bone, I believe, in his foot or his leg, and he was pretty much out for the rest of the season. But now he's back. He's a speedster. Do they have enough weapons to overtake a Homestead team, you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think Homestead's come back down a little bit. Homestead graduated quite a bit, especially defensively. And then they had some, like I said, some key offensive players. So East Noble, if they're going to get it done, this could be the year. And it's not like Homestead has won those 5 games, but it's not like Homestead is just 100 times better than East Noble. It's a very close rivalry, and it really is. Every year you go into that game, either team can win it. I kind of tend to agree with Reggie. I think that East Noble could get it done this year. Now, whether they go to the state championship, I think a lot of teams have something to say about that. But as far as winning the league, I could see East Noble doing it.
You know, and Homestead at the end of last year got tripped up by a very good Norwell team. As far as Jeff Miller's squad goes, they were 2-8 2 years ago. They're 8-2 last year. Is this a year because they graduated their stud running back where they're looking maybe for some answers, even though they've got Noah Patton starting at quarterback back, and also the best tight end, I believe, in the area, Jeff Chateau, also back for a senior season?
Well, those two players will play a key role in what they do. I think they're going to pass the ball a little bit more than they did. Obviously, with Clay Fichter not there, you don't have that cushion of just being able to hand it off to Clay, much like Harding did with Rod Smith, and everything will be just fine. So they will pass the ball, but really their success this year hinges on their defense. Chateau and Alex Eichler are part of the front 7 that is really, really strong. So Norwell is they're not going to come back far. They were 8-2 last year, I believe, and so and they tied for the Homestead for the NHC championship. I could very easily see them just a hair below East Noble and Homestead this year.
Well, when you take a look at some of the other teams that are going to be competitive as far as the conference goes, Belmont always is a tough win because of the way they grind out the game and they kind of shorten the amount of time of possession. They've got another great core of offensive backfield guys. You're talking Riley Hankinson at running back, Daniel Meyer kind of as a fullback,
he's the
big
key
guy, and also Forrest Fullenkamp, who is better known for rushing the football than he is for throwing it. You got those 3 guys and always a good offensive line at Belmont. There's a team that's always tough to play.
Well, it is, and much like I was saying earlier with Wayne, they can Belmont can run the ball, and they play great defense. And that time of possession when you run the ball, the other team doesn't have an opportunity to score very many points. And so, like you said, Fullenkamp, I know he's listed in theoretically as a quarterback, but he runs the ball. But Daniel Meyer is one of the top running backs in northeastern Indiana. He's the Rod Smith or Clay Fichter of this year. And so that's what they're going to do this year. They're going to continue to run the ball, and they'll be right there. But I'll tell you, a sleeper team in that league is New Haven. They have 27 seniors out this year, and they have a great quarterback. In fact, a lot of teams have great quarterbacks this year. But Lucas Salerno is one of the better quarterbacks in the area. Don't count out New Haven. They could surprise some people this year.
Yeah, Jim Rowland has to replace a stud running back, a guy that's been doing it for 2 years. But I know he's high on one of their juniors and thinks that they're going to have a pretty quality season coming up this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a very competitive league.
And you feel any other teams that maybe could challenge or make some noise as far as the NHC goes? I mean, DeKalb certainly has had not the years that they were hoping to have the last couple of seasons, but anyone else that might jump up and surprise a couple teams on Friday nights?
DeKalb and Carroll are both in rebuilding modes, much like Northrop and Northside. Now, Carroll, I will say this, they hired a longtime Snyder assistant. Count my word on this, 4 years from now, Carroll's going to be there. They have so much athletic talent in that building. They have over 2,000 students, much like Northrop, I was saying, where there's just too much talent, too many numbers for them to struggle in football. And Coach Deenan from Snyder will get Carroll going, I will say that. The only other team I could see making any noise really in that league, though, this year, outside the ones we mentioned, is Columbia City. They have a quarterback and they have a good receiver. Logan Rare is their veteran quarterback. If he can stay healthy, then Columbia City could shock some people. Talk to East Noble about that, because Columbia City went up there and shocked them last year in the sectional and knocked off East Noble. So with Stephen Farr catching passes, Logan Rare throwing it, and they played a lot of young kids last year, so they're a year older. They could make some noise, but I don't think they're going to jump up to the top tier of the league.
Yeah, they were one of the teams that in the second half of the season you saw, not only record-wise, but just in terms of the brand of football they played, much better in the second half of the season and also in the playoffs.